Hi there, that's right, it's Nick Dutch back on the camera again one more time. Hi there, how the heck's it going? And we're going to crack on today with the tarot show. I will say this, okay, this particular tarot show is being kept in place by you, the inquirers, okay? So I'm doing free tarot readings. Remember, I do tarot for my full-time permanent job. Okay, so I'm taking out a lot of time out of my day to be able to help you guys out. And if you want a free tarot reading to be included in the tarot show, quite simply send me a private message through YouTube. This YouTube user account is Nick Dutch Tarot, okay? And I'll be happy to add you to the rota. Okay, we can have all kinds of questions. I can't tackle things such as pregnancy, medical matters or childbirth, or legal issues these days because there are regulations governing this service. I don't read for those who are under the age of 18, so I'm not going to be doing those these days. So from now on, you know, submit your questions and I'll be more than happy to help you and oblige. I will say this is tarot readings by request, but not on demand. Obviously the show itself is on demand because you can view it whenever you got, you know, a spare moment in your busy schedule, alright? But, you know, I can't answer your questions straight away. Obviously don't give me like tons and tons and tons of text, because what I want to do is be able to fit as many readings into the show as I can and to provide you with sufficient detail and sufficient depth. I've got no idea which readings we're going to do today. All I do is go to the email box and open it up, then come back to the camera and then do the reading for that person direct, without any form of preparation at all, just as if I was doing a reading for you over the internet or over the telephone. I do also work, of course, on Keen.com and LivePerson.com as well, so you can always catch me there for a longer reading, and if it is a pressing issue it would always be good to try and catch me live. So without any further ado, let's crack on with the first reading of today. Okay, we've got an inquirer whose YouTube channel name is Nissan23, I think. And this is an individual who's inquiring whether she's going to be in an arranged marriage or one that she's chosen for herself, and also whether her boyfriend's coming back. So from your question, I can tell that, you know, you're mainly interested in the second part of your question, you know, when is your boyfriend going to come back, and is your boyfriend going to come back, or are you going to end up in a relationship with someone who's like completely and utterly unrelated? So we'll just have a quick look, we'll see what the Mystic Tarot says today. Well, actually it's not just the tarot saying it, it's me saying it. And I don't just believe that there is just one single meaning for each card. I personally believe, so to speak, that there's like a million meanings for each one, and it's all very context driven. And so that's where a lot of people get confused, and they might say, well, hang on, the lightning struck tower turned up in that reading and you said that, but it turned up in the other reading and you said something completely different. Well, that's because of the question, that's because of the situation, that's because of all the other cards around it, and more importantly it's a question of what I'm picking up as well, because it's not just a question of which cards turn up, although that is an important part of the reading itself. So let's have a quick look and see what's coming through for you. Now, we're basing this on the standard 8-card relationship reading. Now, you know full well I've got three main spreads that I tend to use. There's the relationship spread, which I can use for other purposes such as social interaction. I've got the chronological spread, so I can see how things are going to pan out over time. And of course I've got the Celtic cross spread, which I use for more general things as well. So let's have a quick look and just focus in on this one particular issue first and foremost. My preliminary analysis, so to speak, I know I'm using a bit of scientific terminology, I don't want to come over as a pseudo-scientist, but my preliminary analysis, namely the thoughts, feelings, moods and energies I'm getting here, is that this is still an individual who's got affection for you. The card which signifies the forces in between you, the thing which defines the relationship in the here and now, is still talking about a sense of isolation. So that's the feelings he's going through. He's going through contemplation, he's trying to work out basically what's really important. And yeah, on his side of things, incredibly positive signs as well. Got the Ace of Cups there. Now that's often a signifier of love and affection, a very pure love. But he's also rather confused, otherwise I don't think we'd have actually had those signs coming through there in the middle. But there's also a desire on his side of things to actually put in some extra work, some extra effort to try and bring about the change that you're after, okay? On your side of the reading towards him, a bit of a sense of being a little fraught, okay? A bit anxious and a bit confused. Not just anxious as to whether you're going to be with him and you can invest your heart in him, so to speak, but confused in a few other ways. I think you're actually doubting as to whether he's right for you. You know, what is the cause for this particular break? What has he shown you for his conduct during the time that you've known him that makes you think that he's possibly right for you? It's difficult to say, isn't it? You know, you've got to really think back over over the time when you've known him and see what's really been real there for you. Okay, it's always good to focus on what's real rather than what you believe or what you feel. Think carefully about the history. Think carefully about everything he's said and everything he's done, and try and ascertain precisely what that means. Now, progress, short-term, mid-term and long-term future, there we go. The things that I find interesting about that is that love and connectivity associated with this individual is very strong, and so is communication, especially when we're talking about the progress in the longer-term future. So it's not feeling as a very negative future. Alright, the short-term future signs coming out very much in a very connected manner with the High Priestess there, also known as the Female Pope by some people, and is a signifier of there being a new relationship orientation or development occurring between yourself and him. And in that respect, it's looking like this individual could come back for you within about 3 months from now, suggesting that there is something really rather positive going on. But it's also looking a bit confusing, because I think, although the reading hasn't said it, there's some kind of silent conflict going on. Because your mid-term future signs talking about truce. Why would there need to be a truce unless you've had a bit of a conflict? Again, I will ask you to ask yourself, what is it that's caused this recent split? I mean, yeah, the loving signs in the longer term future, quite strong, mirror reflection of what we've had there on his side of things, looking not too bad. But do think more about the relationship itself and whether you're actually comfortable and happy with it. Because I think that there are a few issues going on. Now, as far as are you going to have an arranged marriage, let's see what's happening there. No, I don't think so. Got the Wheel of Fortune. The feelings there is that of a bit of randomness and a bit of chance. But there's also a sense of there being some real love happening there. I think you'll be the final decision maker. As ever, if you want to be added to the Tarot Show, send me a private message through YouTube channel Nick Dutch Tarot, and I'll be more than happy to add you to the Rosa. Okay, Mr. James1235 has quickly popped back saying, is there a relationship coming my way? Well, we'll have a quick look for you. Still using my traditional method, combination of tarot and basically anything else that comes through. I hope that's okay. Let's just have a quick look and see, shall we? Bear with me a second, please. We'll use the chronological spread for this one, because obviously it's a question of whether something new is going to come through, rather than reading on one particular person, if you get my drift there. So we'll just use 6-card spread. Obviously we're looking out for more cup signs. We've got some. We haven't got them immediately though. Maybe it'll take about 4 to 6 months at the outside for them to start to come through for you. But on the other hand, I do feel it's actually going to happen. The sense of it being there is really rather strong. The feelings I'm getting is suggesting that you're not going to be alone forever. And on top of that, a time is going to come which is basically the right time for you to actually feel calm, content and happy about the possibility of having a relationship, and one that will actually work for you. So there is some very victorious things there. But if you think about it, the 6 of Swords, why would that be coming up? Well, it's often labelled as science, and I often regard it as being a signifier of further contemplation, preparation for something bigger and better maybe, trying to apply reason, scientific thought, and a bit of self-discipline and self-control. Alright? So why would I be being prompted to say self-control? How is it that you react to somebody when you're in a relationship with them? Is there something you're aware of that you do badly? Or that maybe you take a bit too seriously, which doesn't quite fit in with what you need to happen in the longer term? I would say be careful and try and work out what could be going wrong so that you can start setting things right. But the progress that we've got there is really quite staggering. As I say, very strong, victory signs later on down the line. We've got loving signs in your sort of mid-term future period. It's not happening yet, but it's definitely there. So the feelings are again very positive indeed. Okay, we have Anna Olpop, who's come on and wants to make sure that her future, her dream future, is actually going to come true. And she wants to be a radio host and a music producer, if my memory serves me correctly. I might have got the terms wrong there, but I'm sure you know where I'm coming from. So that's quite an important position in the media, whereby you're portraying a particular message, you're providing entertainment and information, and of course you're doing things on quite a big scale there. So essentially we'll just have a quick look and see what kind of things is coming through for you. Now this is a career spread. It's also talking about the future. you sometimes find with these shows, don't you, that you can sometimes get like a bulk of questions which are quite similar. Alright, but in this case we've got two chronological spreads, one coming after the other. Completely different questions, because this is more to do with like the heart's desire, but the heart's desire is not of a romantic nature, it's of a career and financial nature. And this inquirer also inquired about how the financial status is going to go during like the short and mid-term future, to see whether it's all going to work out okay. It's a big concern for all of us during this recession, I can tell you, but let's have a quick look. Gosh. We have a totally different energy. Totally different energy to the last chronological reading indeed, okay? Your short-term future signs are very much to do with a new beginning and a feeling of enthusiasm associated with it. We've got the Princess of Discs, which is talking about yourself as being a strong, assertive individual, full of knowledge, full of wisdom, capable of starting something new. It's a more junior female court card, okay? So that's not saying I am already there, it's saying that I am getting there, but I'm already, prepared to take that next step. The signs which come after it, the illustrious, mysterious Magician card, the first numbered card of the Major Arcana, one of the more important signs, I feel, especially when you're talking about something new. I don't know whether I've described this in a previous show, but the Magician card often sums up to me that moment when you're graduating from university. You've done all your hard work, your preparation, you've had a few swings and roundabouts, you've had a few problems on the way, but you're finally ready to start something new. There's a sense of pride, there's a sense of, yes, I'm now there, but it's still the first step. Alright? It's not a question of I'm already, a multi-millionaire and I'm taking over the world. It's a question of I'm prepared to become the person who can then be successful. And that's the main message which is coming through there for you right now. Now, the progress shortly after that, again, fascinating. Now, this is a heart's desire reading, as I was talking about before, but you're also talking about financial stability. And solar signs are often associated with wealth. The sun is connected to the element of gold, alright? And the feeling there is to do with money and some forms of financial stability. We've already seen you as being a stable individual. Although you may like the occasional luxury here and there, I don't see you as the kind of person who would spend out on a meal costing 50 quid just for the hell of it. You're the kind of person who would do something like that once in a while, but not necessarily just for the hell of it. You're quite reserved sometimes, and I think that's good. You've got to keep your focus, and you've got to keep yourself on that level. And when things aren't quite working out according to plan, you've still got to try and bring yourself back and see things in the down-to-earth light. It's a very, very exciting time for you, and I can see why you can get very enthusiastic. But it's now just a question of one step at a time, bit by bit, to try and get to where you want to go. Alright? Now, a very long-term future progression, very willpower driven. That's a reminder that in a couple of years' time you'll be doing it, you'll be doing what you want, but it's then a question of keeping that motivation going, because even though when you've got the job of your dreams, you can still sort of feel a little negative about things, can't you, once in a while? You're in the right place, you've got the job of your dreams, but all of a sudden things are starting to get a bit jaded. Well, a time like that will come in a few years' time for you, but that's a good sign, because that means you've settled down, it's become a routine, and you've developed skill in doing what you're best at. Alright? So, I personally believe, on the strength of what I've seen here, that you've got the potential to be very successful. And yes, I do feel it's going to be in your chosen field, and I do feel that the money's going to go okay in the short and medium term. Alright? Alright, now stay right where you are. I'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Okay, we've got Shadowfly325 who's come on board for a quick reading today. So we'll just have a quick look and see what's coming through. Shadowfly has had a bit of a trying time and has lost a job and is struggling to deal with a change of routine, as well as trying to get a new position sorted out. Alright, so it's a trying time. I mean, I've had times in my history when I had a job which I thought was really rather good, had stability, I was making friends in the office and all the rest of that, and then because of some mistake that was made upstairs or a few glitches in the economy, I ended up losing it. And so I know precisely where you're coming from there. It can be very difficult. Just make sure you're doing all the right things, you're claiming all the right benefits, Alright, try and go for your direct applications, not agency ones, and keep the motivation going. That's the first thing that I will say. But what I'll look for, but again, a chronological spread. There's a pattern emerging here today, there isn't there? We'll have a quick look and see how things are going to go financially for you with the passage of time, and also to see whether there is a new job coming. So we want more signs relating to new beginnings, and see what kind of things is coming through. I'm shuffling like a lunatic now, I'm telling you. I want to make sure it's all nice and random. Don't think I've quite shuffled this much between readings before, but never mind, let's have a quick look. I haven't actually counted the number of times I've been shuffling, to be honest. I just tend to get on and do it. Tremendous. Absolutely tremendous, but not in the immediate future. Okay, it's not happening by tomorrow morning 9 o'clock, and I think that's something you've got to remember and you've got to put into perspective. The feelings I've got surrounding the progression into the future is that you will overcome this. Alright, and when I'm saying that, I don't want to mean that in some kind of a wishy-washy way. What I do mean is you're actually going to be able to look back on this time that you're going through at the moment and be able to say, didn't really matter now, did it? I mean, I see this as a time of training, really, because you will learn how to better deal with these emotions and with a feeling of loss, so that you'll be able to help other people with it in the future. We've got very good victory signs. Don't know whether you can see that there. I mean, your short-term sign, just keeping your motivation going, basically. And then moving on from there, again, despite the fact I've shuffled like a very shuffly person kind of thing, okay, we've again got the Princess of Discs coming through. And finally, the Chariot. So you're a lot stronger than you think you are. You're a lot more disciplined and dedicated than you think you are, and you're going to be able to make it. Now, we all have an emotional wobble once in a while, don't we? We all have that moment when we think like the world's sort of like creeping in on us, or is trying to hold us back one way or another. But in your particular case, I don't think that that's something that you should be focusing in on. You've had a career, you've had your history, you've had your stability, and you know what that feels like. And you've also learned an awful lot in the process, turning you into a new individual. Now, as far as dealing with the change is concerned, that's where the acceptance comes into play. Because change just happens. It's the only thing that's constant in the universe, okay? Often we want to just cling on to something, you know, that's always there, or a particular location, a particular person, or a particular prized possession. But we always need to be aware that change is quite essential when we're thinking about moving on into the future. Alright, progression after that. A bit of a different energy. Now, if you're a bit of a layperson to tarot, you may be thinking to yourself, well, why haven't we had all the happy signs of stability and prosperity coming at the end of the reading? Well, that's a very interesting point. I mean, although we've got like the Seven of Swords there, often talking about futility, we've got the Moon card often talking about disillusionment, we've got the Two of Swords talking about peace after something. I mean, those all seem relatively negative though, don't they? Well, not necessarily, because these signs, I feel, are talking about your ability to understand, because there's lunar and mercurial elements associated with that, so that's perception as well as intellect. And the way it came out and the way I'm feeling about it is that there is something more positive associated with what you're going to get from this time in your life, which you're going to be able to help somebody else out with when you've had about 6 months worth of career stability. Not yet, but in about 6 months worth of career stability. The Moon card is talking more about perception. Alright, you're an intuitive individual, you're a sensitive individual, and you're empathic to other people's needs and requirements. Once you've got your stability back, your care for society is going to return. When you're going through the mill, when you're going through hell, okay, you find it very hard to be caring. We all do. I do as well, okay? But on the other hand, these signs relating to peace, I said that often means peace and tranquility after something. Well, that's peace and tranquility after the evil you've gone through at the moment. Taking that into account, it makes much more sense. Because once you've got your stability back, you're going to be able to be more empathic towards other people. And it's all going to happen for you. Okay, we've got Angel Steve, who's come back for another reading. And Angel Steve is starting the path to become a medium. Very interesting, very useful time, okay? I mean, there's all kinds of ways in which you can start to develop mediumship. Meditation is excellent, especially working on your chakras, and also doing things like prayer. I mean, prayer is like your means of communicating with something else which is above and beyond. And if you can start building a bit of a routine about that, that will definitely help you. as far as being successful in your career as a medium, it's not quite that black and white now, is it, mediumship? Because we're dealing with thoughts, feelings, moods and energies, aren't we? We're dealing with a wide variety of organic sensations, as well as things which appear up here and things that we feel in our heart. It's not quite so success or failure. Alright, it's a path of growth and change and development, and it yields, or it leads to, a much better understanding of how we work as a human individual. Alright, the spirituality of spiritualism and of mediumship is actually a little more nuanced, I would say, than just success or failure. But what I'll do is I'll see whether you're driven to this and whether it's actually going to help you in the longer term future. Just bear with me a second, please. Okay, as you know, I've been shuffling like crazy, but again, we've got the Magician coming through. Some people say that the Magician actually represents someone who wields magical power or spiritual power. Okay, it's the image of someone who's starting their path of spiritual development, maybe. How relevant can that be to yourself? Alright, I mean, some images of the Magician see him standing in front of a table, and in some of the older tarot cards it actually looks like he's preparing a meal, actually, rather than anything else. But in the more recent tarot decks, they've changed the imagery just a little more to include religious symbols, including the chalice, which some people use for scrying, including the wand, which some people use to direct spiritual energy, okay? And of course including the pentacle, which is talking about your grounding. So the feelings that are associated with the Magician are essentially perception, direction and centering. And maybe that's one of the ways in which you should try and understand this stage in your personal development. This is still the initiation stage, and the word initiation means beginning. It doesn't mean I'm there yet. It doesn't mean to say, boom, I've got that success. But if there was no success there coming, I don't think we would have had the solar signs. I'll show that to you again a little closer. It's got two little figures who are dancing for joy on a nice grassy hill, and there's flowers and sunshine, and it feels wonderful. I think with this particular question, the message is much more to do with you're going to enjoy it. Alright, there does seem to be some very real reasons as to why you're doing this. There does seem to be a sense of there being happiness and progress. And what with the sense of determination I've got there and the sense of self-actualization I've got here, the feeling is actually very positive. I actually feel you're going to be quite good at this. But one other message of the Magician being, vaguely air related, and as well, of course, the 4 of staves there and the 9 of staves there. It's also talking about communication. It's not just a question of what impressions you get and how you instinctively feel that, what they mean, but also how you choose to be able to communicate that in terms of words and body language and all those other fun little things that we as humans do to try and create a message and to pass that message on. So I'm not seeing this in a negative light at all. I'm seeing this in a very positive light, and I feel that, you can be driven to a lot of success there. If you can think about the fact this is initiation, it's not the end of the journey, the fact you've got to work on your communication skills and you can try and incorporate those messages of the Magician into your work, I think you're going to be fine. I'm not giving you orders here, I'm just giving you a perspective. So allow the development to occur. It's not an overnight thing, it's a bit by bit thing. Okay? Okay, we've got Dark Light Tarot who's come on for another delightful reading. And we'll just have a quick look and see basically what's coming through for Dark Light Tarot. Wonderful username. I mean, sometimes we can get a bit of entertainment, can't we, from people's YouTube channel names, and sometimes they can be really rather mysterious and powerful and beautiful. And I think there's a bit of power in that one. I think that says something about yourself. Now, you're inquiring about one particular individual, and you want to make sure that they feel the same. So let's just have a quick look for you and see what kind of feelings, thoughts, moods, energies, and all the rest of that are appearing for you today. Just a second, please. So now we've moved on, okay? We've gone back to the 8-card relationship reading, and we'll see what kind of things are happening there. I think there's some positive and some negative signs here. I think that you've also got to be very receptive, so to speak, with the kind of things that this other individual is giving you, you know what I mean? The energy and the forces between you is still very communication orientated, but with a sense of there being some allusion towards victory. Give it a bit of time, and also try and be a little bit more forward with the way in which you do communicate. I'm not saying forward as in force yourself upon them, I'm saying forward as in terms of try and provide more resolution, more detail to where your intentions lie bit by bit. You still need to make sure you've got a bond there. There are some strong bonding signs there, especially on this other person's side of the reading, with a desire for more cooperation. So they like you. They like you a lot. It's a question of do they like you in that way as well. And that's essentially where, you know, things get a little more complex, a little bit more nuanced. But the Two of Cups there is providing a lot of promise. So there's still something very, very good there, but you're not quite there. There's always a bit of anxiety when you're building a new relationship with this type though, isn't there? Okay. Now on your side of things, I actually get the feeling that you've had some bad experiences in the past, and those bad experiences are possibly holding you back. Because although we've got this this very strong sort of, you know, strong female energy associated with your side of things, and a very mature demeanour, I think that maybe, I mean, it strikes me as you're probably older than this other individual. I'm not sure about that, but that's the way it's striking me. And on your side of things, because we've got these sort of like darker energies, I'm seeing that in terms of wisdom, as well as possibly a fear of failure. So there's lots of little niggly bits you've got to get through in order for you to actually make sure that you're going to be happy and you're going to move yourself in the right direction. But the feelings are not looking too bad, okay? Now, your progression short-term, mid-term and long-term future, okay? It's more stability in the short term, so I don't think this one can get off the ground like within the next like couple of hours. It's much more, you know, bit by bit to get there. Your next 3 months is about your foundation. Your next 3 months is trying to get that nice and solid. We got signs relating to lust, desire and success later on down the line, but those will only come true if you work on your foundation energy there, okay? 9 of coins, stability, but also gain. You're not there yet, you're gaining on the way in which the relationship could actually grow and develop. Feelings, very interesting, but start the chemistry going bit by bit. Alright? I'm definitely not going to turn around to you and say don't do it. I actually think that, you know, it would be worthwhile investing a bit more time into it. Just see how it goes, okay? Okay, we've got Love Puppy who's come back onto the scene for another delightful tarot reading, and she's inquiring about one particular individual who she's got feelings for. Now, she wants to know whether he's going to call. Well, if that's a concern, then obviously there's a bit of a bridge in the communication anyway, isn't there? And maybe something will have to be done about that. A bit of proactivity could be required. Well, that's just a suggestion, of course, but essentially that might actually help matters much. Because whether a person calls you or whether a person doesn't call you doesn't always speak volumes. It doesn't speak volumes at all. It's what they say when they communicate, and also what you say when you communicate with them. And I think that's something that a lot of people have got to remember, because basically if you don't, then essentially things can't go according to plan. We'll just have to see what kind of things, you know, is coming through for you today. Still shuffling like a lunatic. One of these days I'm going to get some kind of, oh I don't know, bone or muscle disease through too much shuffling. What's that, carpal tunnel? Is that the one you get if you're doing too much in the way of like rhythmic tapping on things? Maybe there's another one for tarot readers, who knows. Anyway, let's have a quick look for you. Just bear with me a second. Well, forces between the two of you, again very loving orientated, but also there's something of a rather ethereal nature there. This one hasn't been firmed up, and there's a certain level of misunderstanding going on, and it's a rather difficult connection because of that. It's to do with the way in which communication has happened in the past, I feel, and on that basis there's something from the past which is affecting the way that things are in the here and now and making it a bit difficult. The progression on their side of the reading, on Alfonso's side of the reading, is to do with trying to find the right balance, but also trying to keep in control. Control is a big issue on his side of things, and that's not always very nice though, is it? But on the other hand, it's still a function and a feature of his personality. He would like to be the calm individual, but he doesn't think that being calm is actually going to do him any good. and so sometimes he might be a bit vehement and a bit difficult to deal with. But there are some, loving energies there, and once he's got that sense of balance, things can work out okay. I don't think it's an immediate short-term future thing. I think that this is building. He's not going away though. Alright? Very short-term future signs, still a bit of conflict, but with communication. So that side of things is there. And then moving on, again, we're getting the Chariot coming through yet again. Time and time and time again, it's been coming up today. Alright, and then finally signs of stability, consistency, control and wisdom. Could this become a life partner connection? Well, there's some good signs associated with it, so I'm probably not going to turn around to you and say no. What I will say is that you've got some potential there. Okay? Alright, now we're now coming to the end of the tarot readings for today. But, don't cry and don't be sad. I'll be back next time. And what's most important is the thing which keeps this show going. And the thing that keeps this show going is you, the people, sending me inquiries on my YouTube channel, Nick Dutch Tarot. All one word, all lowercase, via private message, not in the comment section. That's naughty, okay? I want to make sure I can keep track and keep them in control. We've now managed to get through a lot of the backlog. And so now it's much quicker and easier for me to be able to get the readings done, bam, 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 much quicker. Now, as far as will I be able to get more time to do these shows more regularly, that's difficult to say. I am doing half-hour shows. Maybe you could actually let me know in the comment section whether you'd rather have 15-minute shows or half-hour shows. Alright, because maybe I could try and get them done a little quicker if they were shorter. But on the other hand, a half-hour show once a week, that's something that people can actually look forward to. And I am doing this for you. Anyone who subscribes, you'll get this one coming straight through to you on your YouTube channel the moment it's been completed. It is a lengthy process for me to do these videos. I mean, I've got to shoot the video, I've got to do the readings, I've got to convert the file, then I've got to put it through the editing program and make sure I've edited out every single one of my little coughs and all the rest of that, and I've done the transitions nicely, and I've put in the titles and all that kind of stuff, and I've got the lighting right. It's not just a question of having a couple of lights here, you see. I've got to adjust the lighting actually in the editor itself, and then I've got to render it, which is also a lengthy process, followed by the upload. And I've had some days in which it's taken 8 hours to finish the entire sequence, so it can be a whole day's worth of work in order for me to get this show done for you. But never mind that. I want you to send me your requests through on the YouTube channel Nick Dutch Tarot. I want you to subscribe, I want you to rate, and I'm very happy for you to comment, but all requests have to be in private message on the YouTube channel Nick Dutch Tarot. In the meantime, I'll bid you good fortune, God and or Goddess and or none of the above bless. That's just there to keep the atheists happy. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon sometime.